Just a soothing sound. Like Asian temple bells, but we're not in Cambodia and we're not in Thailand. We're in a 19th century London house, and you can tell that just by looking at these beautiful stiff leaf moldings everywhere. Now, I can tell immediately that this place is lived in by a sort of New Agey type person. I mean, look at this, the Egyptian gods on one wall, and then all sorts of astrological symbols on the other, a sun, a crescent moon, and a starburst mirror. And we've also got the ultimate New Age power form on that mantelpiece, a pyramid. Now, these people are quite into music. There's a guitar hanging on the wall. Maybe folk music is rather important around here. They seem to be particularly interested in photography, especially the work of Cecil Beaton, the 20th century British Society photographer and designer. They're also rather keen theatre folk, and their interests vary from Peter Pan right through to the taming of the shrew. I can also tell that they've got a particular fondness for a very pretty country house because there are various representations of it. So maybe this is just a sort of in-town crash pad. Now, when you come down into the lower part of the living room, you can see that they've got an extreme fondness for very loud, jazzy, wild colors. So I don't think they're exactly shrinking violets. I mean, just look at all the different colors around here. Indeed, some years ago, these people might have been punks, they might have been those sort of neo-Gothic types, and so it's very appropriate that they've ended up in a little place here with a Gothic window. This is a very amusing spiral staircase, and you can see that Mystic Meg would feel right at home here because the astrological theme continues. Everywhere you look in this bedroom, there are star signs. I love these very colorful scarves. Some of them have astrological symbols on them, and others, like this one, commemorate Halley's Comet. So astrology and mysticism are very important around here. So is music. There's a sweet little gilded cherub playing a lute in the corner. But my favorite object in this bedroom is the cosmic skateboard. This is a very nicely secluded little walled garden. It's like the sort of thing you'd find in a medieval monastery. It's got a very peaceful atmosphere. Now let's look at the evidence. The tinkling bells, the taming of the shrew, the strumming cherub. Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. And now for our home and studio audience, but not for our panel. Here's whose house it is. Let's go to the spirit of the New Age himself, Chris.
The only thing I spotted around the house that just seemed to be a constant thing was gold discs, or, you know, discs or whatever. And then I think the rest of Lloyd's stuff was basically a string of rawed whorings. So this is someone probably who... Are we looking for a man or a woman?
You are, in this case, looking for a woman.
I'm looking for a woman!
Exactly.
Oh, God, your hair! Sorry. That's fair enough. Well, then, she's either a female recording artist or is... She's a female recording artist!
Right.
Or is somehow a lady tied up with the music industry in one sense or another, anyway.
Crystal.
Now, I wondered about the red herrings and wondered whether the Egyptian god and astrological symbols were red herrings. And I was going to say Mystic Meg, but he said Mystic Meg, so it's not that. And now Chris has said about a female singer. Is it someone that had hits in the 60s and 70s opposed to the 90s?
Well,
so it's like in the 90s.
You've left out one decade.
What have I left out?
The 80s.
The 80s.
Well, the 80s was not necessarily the greatest decade for music, but it wasn't bad for our proud homeowner. Gary.
I hate going last. But everyone said anything you're going to say. So, an 80s pop singer? No. Yes. I would have said the beginning of the 80s.
Pardon? Yeah.
So, Whoever it is, she came in on the tail end of punk and is probably doing something different now.
Very, very shrewd. Chris?
Someone who came in on the tail end of punk. That was you, wasn't it, Bush? It's still there, particular jacket.
Has she got blonde hair?
Well, she's probably had blonde hair. We all have it, one time or another. She also quite often had red hair.
Ah. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery! It's a mystery!
Of the Birmingham persuasion.
Who's going to...
And is her second name Willcox?
Yeah.
And her first name
No idea.
Hola!
Desmond.
is not Desmond at all, but Toyah, and they've done it. Toyah Willcox, will you come through the keyhole? Welcome. Desmond, you're here.
You're so quick! What happens when you're a
I am
star,
really
darling?
Desmond Willcox.
You are Desmond
I
Willcox.
am second
This is
persona.
the visit you're making on behalf of Desmond Willcox.
Weren't they quick?
Weren't they quick? Well, we had an exegesis from Gary Bushell there about the tail end of
Did you
punk
know
and
that?
all of that. And then they just built on that irresistibly, I thought. But the star signs and the astrology, were they just for Lloyd or are they for real?
No, I'm passionate about anything mystic, Meg. I love astrology. I love everything to do with UFOs. I'm a real kind of X-File buff.
Looks great, the house. It really sort of wonderful New Age feeling to it.
It's my size, it's my scale, and what I loved was that Lloyd kept saying they, and this is my bolt hole. This is where I go to escape. And it's the one place that I have where I can paint any colour I want. It can be as psychedelic as I want. Because I have a main home with my husband, where if I ever buy anything and put it on the sideboard, he puts it in a cupboard. So I have this lovely little pad in London where I can go and be a bachelor girl.
Oh, brilliant. So we've really got an insight into the real you.
But it is tiny. It looked quite big next to Lloyd standing there. I was really surprised. But it's quite a tiny little place.
Your number 10 hits were, in fact, in 1981, the first ones.
My
weren't
main
they?
hits were 1981. And I knew Gary would guess me out of everybody. I just knew he would, because I've known Gary for so long.
You enjoyed the Good Sex Guide and so on?
I've loved every minute of it. Everyone I've met has been fantastic. Really lovely people, and as bizarre as some of the subjects have been, and I've learnt a lot. I can tell you I've learnt incredible things.
Like gloss over this. Excuse me.
Just between ourselves,
What sort of
what have
thing,
you learned?
Well, this I can actually talk about, because this isn't as perverse as it sounds. Pony people are people that like to have ponytails in their hair, and they wear hooves on their feet, and they like to pull carriages, and this apparently gives them sexual pleasure.
Yes, nothing wrong with that.
That's fascinating.
Well, I tell you, I'm naive. Why I got to do this programme, I don't know, because I'm happily married and terribly naive, but my God, it's been an eye-opener.
But that's a fascinating... What's the best advice you've given people on that show?
Love. I think love is so important. I mean, people kind of try to see sex on its own, and I think love is the biggest priority in the world.
Well, that sounds like the perfect cue to end an interview with that message for the people of Britain. Here it is. Here's the key that says, love to you. All our love. All the through the keyhole love in the world.
Oh,
thank you very much indeed. Our thanks to Toyah Willcox, ladies and gentlemen. That's great.